Hey everybody, welcome back to the J.F.K channel. How we feeling out there? How am I looking? How am I sounding? Hope good. Hope everything's good with everybody. Happy Labor Day. Um, yeah, let's get to it.
Michael Proctor could have written text messages that he didn't know would go public that he regrets sending. That does not nullify
the evidence
that says that
Johnny was hit by a weapon.
Yes, yes, yes. Got 39 people up in here. Michelle says he's not guilty. Okay, Michelle. Okay. Hello, everyone. Debbie says. Yeah, well, let's go here for a second.
And that's exactly what happened to Big Bad Brian A. See, he got on Boston's Finest. He got with Donnie Wahlberg.
Yes.
Sergeant Albert cut his teeth as a Marine in Operation Desert Storm. He views his work back in Boston as equally important.
The Funky Bunch has a group chat. None of you guys once said, I can't believe how John died. I can't believe he died in the cold. That's tragic. None of you guys were texting that on the group chat. Or I can't believe Karen would do such a thing. None of you guys are saying that. The only thing you guys are talking about is the cover-up. Don't say he came in the house.
Kick the cockpit door down. I am not the chosen one that you speak of. I am not. The only one.
Wow. The Ultimate Warrior was a bad, bad man. How am I sounding out there? How am I looking out there? Happy Labor Day to all my beautiful people. I appreciate your time. First and foremost, I appreciate your time. I don't think people know how much time really matters because we never know how much time we have. And you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. 101 people in the chat. This is your chat. Whatever you want to do it. Whatever comment you want to drop. If I see it and I like it, I'm going to post it. Okay, sounding good, looking good. Amy Witt, okay. Let's see what she's saying here. She got some smiley faces. Yeah, that's what it is. Hey, y'all. Time matters. Yes, Ria, you're right about that. 114 in the room. So you seen the thumbnail. You seen what I said? I think Jen should have got called back to the stand for many reasons. One, which is we all know that Karen's internet got connected at 12:36. That's pretty insane to really think about it. At 12:36, the internet got connected. Well, she got connected to the internet, so she was home at 12:36, One Meadows Ave. Bring back, bring Jen back to the stand. She says she's seen a car leave at 12:45. Right? Impossible. Why not bring her back to the stand and jump on that? After all, it was third party culprit. I know everybody out there are doing lives and everybody's talking about this content. There's all different type of weathermen out there telling different forecasts. I appreciate you guys are checking in with my channel to see what I got to say because I just really want to know what happened. And it kills me. Like, wow, within a 5 to 10 minute window, she left and he ends up dead and we don't know what happened. Like what happened and why was it on site and why did she leave? Why would she leave from there, right? Like why would she pull off so fast? Did she have to go to the bathroom? Did she say, John, go in there, go with your friends, whatever? They're not even your friends. If you go with them, I don't care. I'm leaving. I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm not going in there. Did she say that? Or did she say, you're a clown? Like, or did he say, get out of here? You know, what happened? We don't know. Um, it's wild to think. Let's see what's going on. Scallywag Higgins got 130 people in the chat. I appreciate y'all. My replay crew, if you're watching this on the replay, we appreciate you too. You see the super chats that you're going to see during this live. If you want to do a super chat, there's a thing called super thanks. It's in the comments. You'll see it. Little money sign. You click it. You want to throw something my way. I appreciate it. If not, leave a comment and I'm going to read it anyway. I'm just throwing it out there because that's what I got to do. Super chats of the business. All my people out there, my snake bit and read in between the lines song. I need you guys to push that, put pressure on these fools. Let's get that song more out there to more ears. That's what I need to say right quick. But yeah, thank you, Debbie Blair. Let me see. Kevy Kev, this is my guy. Lynn Mass. What's up, Kev? Good dude right here. I'd like to have him up on the show one day. Solid cat. What did he say? She knew John was going to check Higgins. And she drove away. She drove away, Kev. But why did she drive away so fast? She had to go to the bathroom. Was she mad? Obviously, she was upset. My main thing is the Nightline interview. Um, that Nightline interview is wild because she just acts like, "Hey, was we invited here?" And he went inside the house and everything was okay. And we understand that the lawyers told her to keep it cordial and keep it quiet and keep it cool and let them figure it out. But talking about, we already went through a whole trial. What are we doing new in the new trial? And why didn't they read the room? I think they should have read the room first and foremost in that trial and realize, wow, we need to bring Jen McKay back because she not only did she lie about how long to die in a cold, but she got to understand there was a state trooper on the stand saying that that didn't happen. The window was open during the day. That morning, and it was the same window she used that night, and that's the reason why we got a 2 a.m. text. That's what they're saying, right? So you have a state trooper doing it, and a judge is going to let the state trooper in, even though it's not really factual, and it's somewhat hearsay. But when it comes from a police officer, they honor it every single time in trial. So if you ever been in trial, if a cop goes up there and says he ran the red light 9 times out of 10, the judge or the jury is going to believe the cop. And they know this, the police know this. But lies that are blatant, that are right out there for the people, that Jen said, I think they should have brought him back to. I think Alan should have brought it back to the stand. And I'm going to show you some of these lies. And we're going to talk about how he was talking about how she called the phone back. You guys all remember that, right? Alan said you called the phone back because you was looking for the phone, right? The problem with that is, right? She called the phone back at 12:41, 12:41 again, but then at 12:42 she texted him, "Where are you?" Then at 12:43 she called him again, but then at 12:45 she texted him again, "Hello," and then she said she seen the SUV drive away. Now that was at 12:45. But then at 12:46, 12:47, 12:50, the 3 calls back to back that was missed, that she erased, kind of seemed like she was looking for a phone, right? Now, the thing is, from 12:41, that missed call, that call to John, 12:41 again, 2 at 12:41, but in between that at 12:42, where are you? Then 12:42 again, she called, and then at 12:45, 3 minutes later, hello. And then she's seen the SUV drive away. But keep in mind, at 12:31, she said, pull behind me in a text, right? And the next time she texted John O'Keefe was at 12:49 minutes later. So what I'm trying to say is, and I said this in the last live, 12:31, right? Pull behind me, right? And then 9 minutes later, hello, at 12:40. Now we know that Karen left, but she says when she said hello, and she knows that she looked out the window at this time. When she texted at 12:40, hello, she says the SUV moved up. Now, did she see it move up, or did she see an SUV moved in a different spot? Maybe the lights were on, maybe it was running. Cops. Cops like to leave their motor vehicles running, don't they? Something about your voice that just does it for me. Well, Amy, I appreciate that. That's beautiful. So I hope I'm getting this all right and you guys can understand what I'm saying. Because in 9 minutes, point being is she had eyeballs on John at 12:31, pull behind me, which is about right? Because at 12:29, there was a call that she said that wasn't answered though. But it said it was answered. But at 12:27, she's seen the SUV, right? And she texts here. And she's seen the SUV. So not too long after at 12:31, pull behind me, and then a whole 9 minutes goes by. Hello? Where you at? And she says she's looking out at the SUV at that time. Now, did she make all this up right there on the fly? I don't know if she made that up. But 9 minutes went by, which means another SUV could have pulled up, right? Maybe, if you go into the party to go kick it with all these young kids, because now she's going in there kicking it with all these young kids having a party, raining men, and all the stuff she's saying. And then she looks out the window and she sees an SUV with the lights on. Because I know if I was a police officer and it's snowing outside and it's freezing out, I might just leave the car running. Because that's what police do. I never seen a cop shut their car off. They leave it running. Oh, and by the way, why would they pull up by the flagpole? Well, if they lived there before and they used to party downstairs in that basement and they're going to go through the side door down the bulkhead stairs into the basement, then that's where they would pull. Right, Kevin? I don't know. Let's get into this real quick, people. Let's talk about it. There goes Peggy. Poor Peg. One word to describe Peggy. I need one word to describe Peggy O'Keefe. One word, just one word. This is your chat.
We're going to try and go right up to 1 o'clock, okay?
Ms. McKay, we've talked in some detail about your calls with John O'Keefe on the morning of January 29th. Do you recall that conversation? Yes. I want to focus your attention on or at 12:14 a.m., moving up to about 12:50 a.m. You have that time in mind?
Yes.
You've seen the Celebrite extraction from John O'Keefe's phone, which Mr. Lally showed you the other day, correct?
Correct.
And you went through the series of phone calls that were made and that appear on his extraction report, correct?
Correct.
I just want to run through those time-wise very quickly just to orient you, if I can, and then I'll ask you some specific questions about it. There was a call at 12:14 a.m., correct?
Correct.
That was a call that you indicated was answered. You had a conversation with Mr. O'Keefe.
Correct.
There was a call at 12:18 and 47 seconds. That call also was answered by you. John O'Keefe made that phone call, correct?
Correct.
Crazy.
Then there's the 12:29 and 44-second call that you indicated was not answered.
Correct.
From you to him.
Correct.
There was a 12:41 call from you to John O'Keefe, correct? That was
Correct.
There was a 12:41 and 54-second call from you to him. Is that right?
Correct.
There was a 12:43 and 19-second call from you to him.
It's pretty wild right there. You people are horrible. May you never lose a child. It's pretty tough. I got no problem with Peggy. One word to describe her. I think I wouldn't call her brainwash, me personally, or I wouldn't call her bitter. I would just call her um grieving, confused, and rightfully so, right? God bless Peggy. Continuous healing. Peggy, prayers out to you.
Correct.
12:46 a.m. and 16 seconds from you to him.
Correct.
12:47 and 52 seconds from you to him.
Correct.
And 12:50 and 37 seconds from you to him, correct?
Correct.
You saw in his extraction report that all of those calls after 12.
Since I'm seeing a lot of negative comments about Peggy, I just want to jump in real quick and say, listen, let's just not talk trash about Peggy. This is not about us. This is about justice. See, I got into this whole thing, this whole Karen Reed thing, because I know how the justice works in Massachusetts and the corruption. When they want you and you're in their scope, they're coming for you. You got Sandra, right? She was in school. There was a school cop, right? And he got to her, and he did foul things, and he ended up killing her with a baby in her stomach. It's wrong, right? That happens every day. We have cops in school all the time in Massachusetts. They flex their power. We have cops that patrol projects. We call them project cops. They see girls that are on welfare or had a bad time with addiction. They're there with their kids. They move in for the kill. They have the badge, the power. What do police become police for? Do they become police to protect and serve, or do they become police to become untouchable? It's crazy when you have that badge. I never had a badge. I was always against the badge, and I still am. This is about the corruption of it. See, to me, at the end of the day, Karen Reed should never get found guilty. There was way too much reasonable doubt, way too much reasonable doubt. And by the interest of justice, we have to let her go. My opinion, she's not guilty. I don't think she did it. But even if she was guilty, and I don't need anybody to spin this or put this in a clip, but even if she was guilty, I would still say they should find her not guilty. They don't have anything. There's too much reasonable doubt for the third party culprit. There's too many of these people on the stand lying. She should get found not guilty. On the murder, at least. On the manslaughter, well, whatever. We can debate about that. But on the murder, not guilty for sure. So, Peggy, God bless, continuous healing. Remember why we got involved in this. We got involved in this injustice and corruption. Because at any given time, the police could target you, use their badge, use their power, unofficial business, lock you up, put you in that system. You'll be no different than Judge Canoni. She's a judge, but she's caught up in the system. She's bitter. She's cold. She's rigid. She doesn't care. If you spent 3 years in a cell and got found not guilty in an appeal, and you walked out that courthouse and got hit by a bus, she's not going to say she's sorry that she wasted 3 years of your life, 36 months, 3 years away from your kids. You got hit by a bus and you died. Oh, well. The next man up. Next docket number, please. Who's next on the docket? It's a bitter, cold system. Thank you. Let's keep it going.
12:18 were missed calls, correct?
Thank you, Sully.
In his report that you showed me?
Correct. In other words, the only 2 calls that were answered were the 12:14 and 12:18. Everything else was a missed call.
I believe so. I would have to refer to it again because I've seen so many reports.
And Ms. McCabe, according to the extraction reports that you've seen this morning, comparing yours to his, every single one of those calls was deleted off your phone, correct? According to the reports.
According to that report, yes.
Let me ask you another question. Have you ever misplaced your phone?
Yes.
Now pay attention. This is when he said, "Have you ever misplaced your phone?" And he said that when you made the phone calls from 12:41 to 12:50, they were all missed calls, right? And she was calling them back to back. The problem that I have with that is at 12:41 and 12:41 she called twice, but at 12:42, right? She texts, "Where are you?" Then at 12:43 she called him again, and at 12:45 she said hello on a text. So if she was looking for his phone, why would she text in between? See, there is some truth to what this girl's saying, and I'm gonna play that back um to let you know. Believe it or not, she's a liar, but she can't be lying about everything. What I would call this is a slip up. Because at 12:45 she says hello. She looks out the window and she's seen an SUV drive away. Then there's three missed calls back to back, which could be what Alan Jackson is saying, right? He's saying now you're calling looking for a phone. Now let's just say that at 12:45 she looks out the window, right? After she called 12:41, 12:41, right? Then she texts, "Where are you?" Then she called again at 12:43. Now she goes to the window. Now she sees an SUV drive away at 12:45. Then all of a sudden, someone comes upstairs and says, "Jen, we need you downstairs." She says, "What's going on?" Jen just was, I mean, Karen was just outside. "Where's John?" And then she sees John on the ground. And then someone says, "What do you mean Karen was outside?" Call his phone. Grab his phone. Where's his phone? Do you got his phone number? Call his phone. Maybe that's why at 12:46, 12:47, and 12:50 she's calling the phone. She got caught right up in the middle of it. That's just a hunch. It's pure speculation, but it's more so to kind of it's kind of to excuse me, it breaks down when it happened, right? Or so I would say it happened between 12:41 to 12:45. It happened within that 4 minute period. I know his phone stopped picking up at 12:33. She called him, but I think that I think as far as him dying and passing out and getting back up and falling back out, um, it was right around that time, and they probably was like they don't want him to grab his phone, right? They don't want him to grab the phone and call anybody because he's a cop and he could get them all in trouble. So it's just something to think about, and I'm just trying to figure that out because there's got to be some type of truth into what she's saying, a slip up. She can't be that slick, and she's not. She's a liar, but she can't be lying about every detail. That's just my opinion, of course.
Just in life, everybody does it, right?
Yes.
What's one of the first things you do if you're with your daughter or your husband or a friend and you're in your house and you misplace your phone? What do you do?
Oh, I'll ask them to call my phone.
Right.
Mhm.
Even over and over and over, right?
Correct.
Could be as many as 5, 6, 7 times.
Usually I hear it the first or second time.
You're looking for a buzz or a ring, isn't that right?
Correct.
And you might do that if you're searching for a missing phone, correct?
Correct.
With regard to the calls that were deleted from your phone, you were asked about this under oath at another proceeding, weren't you?
Correct.
And you claimed at another proceeding that you had an explanation for all these missed calls starting 12:29, 12:41, 12:41, 12:43, 12:46, 12:47, 12:50.
Mhm.
You have an explanation for that, right?
Can I see the report?
I'm asking you about your prior testimony.
And I'm asking,
About these calls,
yes, I'm asking, can I see it, please?
I'm asking you a different question. At this other proceeding, in which
Mhm.
you were under oath,
Yes.
right? You explained that these calls were what? These missed calls, incessant missed calls. What were they? You used a word. Matter of fact, 2 words.
I believe I used the word butt dials.
You claimed that every one of these calls was a butt dial. Is that right?
Yes.
So according to you, you literally butt dialed John O'Keefe's phone 6 times in the span of 19 minutes. Is that
That's
right?
crazy.
I don't remember making any of those calls. So my assumption is I put my phone in my back pocket and that was it.
When you dial some
Now, my thing is, why did she erase the phone calls, right? But she didn't erase the texts in between that. Like I said, follow me on this. I wish I could pull that up right now, but I'm kind of on the go right now. I'm at one of my buddy's house and I just wanted to do this live because it was on my mind. Like I said, she texted him, she called him at 12:41, then she texted him, "Where are you?" Then 12:42, she calls again. Then at 12:45, she says hello. Then 12:46, 12:47, 12:50. She erased all them phone calls, but she kept the texts. Why would she keep the texts but erase the phone calls? You know, which phone calls were the ones? My point is to look for the phone. I think it was the last three. I don't think it was the two prior at 12:41 because, like I said, at 12:42 she texted, and at 12:45, the 12:41 phone calls, I think was really her trying to figure out where he was. The problem is at 12:45 when she looked out the window, she seen an SUV drive away. That's her testimony. Now we're going on testimony. This is why I would have brought her back to the stand. She said she's seen an SUV drive away at 12:45. You get her back on the stand and you say, "You said you seen an SUV drive away, right?" And if she swears to that, then you tell her, "Well, it wasn't Karen's because she was at 1 Meadows Ave at 12:36. She connected to the internet." Then you see her reaction. Are you picking up what I'm putting down, people? Thank you. Let's get to it. You know how we do it. Peace and love to everybody. This is your chat. I appreciate everybody being here with me. Love is love.
someone by mistake, you hit a button, set your phone down, the phone has to be open. You'll agree with that, right?
Correct.
It can't be locked. It takes several iterations of movement to get a phone open. Face ID or password, right?
Correct.
So when you hit the button by mistake, walk away, that's a butt dial. You can call butt dials. What happens with the call?
I assume it goes to voicemail.
Good assumption, because that's
Assume.
exactly what it does, isn't it? You've had a phone for a lot of years, right?
Yes,
It rings and rings and rings until it goes to voicemail.
correct.
So in order to hang up that butt dial, you have to interact with that phone yet again, don't you?
Yes.
So if you had 6 butt dials, 7, I think it's 7 butt dials, you'd not only have to interact with the phone once to butt dial,
Everybody on the replay crew. Everybody on the replay crew. Replay crew. Replay crew. Everybody on the replay crew. What's going on, people? If you're watching this on the replay, how you feeling? Happy Labor Day to you too. Sorry you couldn't make it in person, but you're here now, right? So run it up, enjoy, and let's get to it. Replay crew. That's what it is. You know how we do it. Got to get the replay crew love too, right?
you then have to interact with it every single time to turn off that phone ringer so it doesn't go to voicemail, wouldn't you?
I suppose.
Which makes 14 interfaces with that phone over the course of 19 minutes. Is that right?
I mean, I guess I don't have it all right in front of me, but there were also text messages I was sending. So again, maybe I said, "Oh, shoot, I called them," and then I turned it off.
But your claim is you don't remember those incessant butt dials and those incessant hangups at all, correct?
I honestly don't.
So you would have had to forget.
Now, everybody, if you're just tuning in, right, and you're trying to figure out what I'm getting to with this, right? What I'm actually getting to with this woman here. She doesn't remember the butt dials. She says she was texting too. I it's probably not a popular belief, but I believe some of the stuff this lady's saying. I don't believe these people are that slick. I just don't. I seen criminals all the time. I've been involved in some stuff, people, and I seen people slip up. That's why when you go out and do crime, you do it by yourself. You don't have no co-defendants because they're gonna snitch you out. Like I said, I believe that the phone calls from 12:41 to 12:41, the 2 phone calls that she called and they were missed, were legit. She was calling him saying, "Where are you?" I think when you got to understand, let's go back to the timeline. 12:14, 12:14, Jim McCabe calls and Jen McCabe calls Jo to give him directions. It was a 44-second call. Now that's bullcrap. I don't believe they were giving each other directions. I'm surprised that they didn't say, "I don't believe it," and stand more on that. A 3-year-old could watch Jen and stand and know she's lying ass. No, she's definitely lying, Rob. 100% she's lying, but certain things she's slipping. You know what I mean? That you gotta understand. She got Brian A in her hand, in her ear, saying, "Oh, you said this. You have to stick with it." You know, especially when the feds came in and they put the pressure on her at that grand jury. She had to like modify everything, um, because what she didn't realize is that Karen, maybe she got word that Karen did connect to the internet at 12:36, right? But she probably was trying to go with the lie that I seen the SUV drive away at 12:45. Maybe that's why she kept her text. If that's what you guys are getting at, that she planned this. Um, but she didn't, right? 12:45, she texts. She looked out the window. She seen the car drive away. But guess what? Who's this right here? What up, Randy? I see you, bro. Jimmy, I'll be joining you live soon, my man. Free Karen. Yeah, what's up to Jimmy, man? We got to get Jimmy up here. We got to unlock new characters. I'm trying to unlock new characters to bring different insight to tell you about this dirty Commonwealth. Um, Yeah, Jimmy. Shout out Jimmy, man. Thank you, Jim. 7 butt dials a little bit listen, I'm not saying that I believe the butt dials is believable. Obviously, she's lying. But what I'm saying is some of them calls when she was calling, the first two, I believe she called and she just messed up and erased them too. She erased all the calls, but she didn't realize that she kept the text in the timeline. So what I'm trying to say is I can't show you this. If I could show you, it'd probably be easier than explain it. So I'm trying my best. Bear with me. You know, I don't have all the tools right now in front of me to put up or whatever. So I'm trying to tell you verbally. At the end of the day, okay, just stick with me on this. 12:14, right? 12:14, they pull up. Okay. Um, 12:14, Jen McCabe calls Jo. All right, to give him directions. They're on the phone for 44 seconds. 44 seconds. That's a long time. All right. When they could just, really, they could just put it in their navigation. What were they talking about for 44 seconds? 12:18. Jo calls JM. John O'Keefe calls back to clarify the directions. They're on the phone for 36 seconds. Now keep in mind, 11:58. Higgins is throwing up his arms. Everything's getting weird. I don't know. I think it's more like what's going on over there. How's everybody feeling? What's up? 12:23, the SUV pops off at 34 Fairview because Nagel says that. Ryan Nagel says when he pulled up at 12:23, we know that for a fact because the text to his sister. 12:27, JM sees the SUV. Good old Jen McCabe sees the SUV and texts John O here. She testified to that. When she seen the SUV, keep in mind, she testified to this. Not only is this written, she testified. She says here, okay? At 12:29, this is a smoking gun right here. At 12:29, there was a phone call, and it does say it was answered, and it's JM calling John O'Keefe. And it was an 8-second call, but she says he never answered. Now, like I said, you bring it back on the stand, maybe hop on that. You sure he didn't answer? What did he say? Did he say, like, I'm here, I'm just telling Karen to leave, I'm at the door? Like, what's going on? That's where it gets tricky. But then that's at 12:29. At 12:31, now keep in mind, she goes in the house, like she probably looked out the window, she's seen him at 12:29. She goes back to the potty, she's doing her thing. And at 12:31, she reaches down, texts, "Hey, pull up behind me." Because maybe Maddie said, "Just tell him to pull up behind me." But then the next time she texted him wasn't for another 9 minutes, 12:41. Right? Now we know right around 12:30 is when Karen peeled off. Right? So 12:40, 9 minutes goes by. So my thing is, what if another SUV pulled up? What if it was Kevin who pulled up in the SUV? He's a cop. I don't think that he would he would shut his car off. If it's snowing outside and it's freezing, why would he shut his car off? He might leave it running. And where would he go? He would probably go up the side, downstairs into the basement, because he probably lived in that basement before. Probably did some things in that basement. Like I said, this is just something to think about. If there's any truth to what Jennifer's saying, if there's any truth to what she's saying, then I would think that that's what happened. Because now, like I said, 9 minutes goes by. She's upstairs. They're downstairs. They're downstairs, right? And she's probably told not to go down there. It's probably something known. Nicole, Jen, don't go down there. The brother, Brian, little Brian A, the daughter, don't go down there. That's dad's room. You don't go down there. Stay down there. That's the dungeon. That's like, you ever see Bret Hart? The dungeon. They used to wrestle down there and learn how to stretch dudes out. Well, that's what it is. It's probably the dungeon. Things went down there. Don't go down there, right? So she doesn't know what's going on. So now at 12:41, now at 12:40, like I said, she looks out the window and the SUV moved, right? But did it move? Did she see it move, or did she see a car move just with the lights on, parked with the same area where they was? Because if it was Kevin, they're going up the side. Then she calls at 12:41, 12:41. But then at 12:42, she texts again, where are you? 12:43, she calls him again. Then at 12:45, maybe she gets up and goes, what's going on? She goes out the window and she sees that same SUV peel off. Now she texts, hello. And then that's maybe when someone came upstairs and say, Jay, come down here. Or she walked down there against their commands and she sees what's happening. And she goes, I just seen Karen outside. They freak out. What do you mean you seen Karen? Where's his phone? Grab his phone. Call his phone. And then she called the phone the 3 times at 12:46, 12:47, 12:50. I'm just saying, right? How did it happen? Because Alan's saying that she called looking for the phone, but how did that happen? How did it lead up to that? Because how did she get in the mix? Jen is in that crew. She could go downstairs in that basement. I don't know about you guys, but I know people that grew up in big houses with big families. It passes down. The big brother gets the room, then that brother moves out, then the next brother gets it. And it's like, but now it's big bad Brian A's house and he's running the house. So if Kevin pulled up, that's where he's going to go through the side door and he's going to peel out. So if he just starts puking and he passes out, maybe Kevin's like, I'm out, and he leaves. When she looked out, it's kind of far-fetched, but you just never know. But that's the reason why I would bring it back on the stand. I'd bring it back on the stand for that particular reason. Not for maybe everything I just said, because that might get a little too complicated. But I would say from 12:31 to 12:40, you didn't look out the window. And when you did, you seen an SUV move. But guess what? It wasn't Karen's SUV because she was home. And just see her reaction. See her reaction. Do you know anybody with an SUV? Does anybody drive a black SUV? Did anybody in the house have a black SUV? Maybe she slips again to lead you to the next thing. That's number one. They never brought her back in the stand to ask her, hey, you said you seen it leave at 12:45. Are you sure about that? You seen it. You even text at 12:45. We have it right here. You text hello. You were at the window right when you did that. You text hello at 12:45 and you seen the truck pull off. Well, guess what, Jen? Guess what? Jen, it wasn't Karen. Who was it? See your reaction. I don't know. Third party culprit. Maybe I would go to that. We talking about jury, man. We talking about just regular people on the jury. All that extra scientifical stuff, that's cool. That's going to confuse them. But that type of reaction might have just made everybody say, wait a minute. Look at her reaction. She's even confused. Maybe there was a third party. Maybe someone did pull up and it's all confusion. So that's the first reason why I would bring it back on the stand. I knew Kevin was suspect, J.F.K. Believe me, he was in on it. James Jackson is in the building. What's up, James Jackson? How we feeling? Mr. James Jackson? Let's get some love up in here. Dumbfound reaction, Kev. Is that a good one, Kev? Kev, let me ask you, bro. Am I making sense? Because you're my man. Shout out to my man, Kev. Kev, he's got a channel. I need you guys to all go subscribe to Kev. I also need you guys to subscribe to my man, James Jackson, right here. Go there right now. You know what I mean? When you got time, go to James Jackson. He's usually up here with me. I don't know where he's at tonight. I think he's, hanging out with a girl or something. He's a ladies man. But yeah, subscribe to these guys. They're good dudes. But Kev, my buddy Kev, good dude, Lynn dude, solid dude, been through a lot. Helped me out. Car guy, great mechanic too. This guy, I actually gotta hit him up for some things one day. But Kev, am I making sense here? Is it possible that this could have happened? I don't know. I think she knew at the bar what was going to go. She tried to pull Kay out to go with her to the house. She's guilty of murder. She arranged to set up. Tick, tick, boom. She's going down. Of course, she's going down. DB, she's going down. But there's got to be a reason. You say there was a surprise. Everybody keeps talking about the surprise. Maybe this, I hate to say it, but was the surprise drugs? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. This is your chat, people.
Michael.
This is your chat.
If you don't get it in check, it will stop making decisions for you. And that's exactly what happened to Big Bad Brian A. See, he got on Boston's Finest. He got with Donnie Wahlberg.
Big Bad Brian A.
Sergeant Albert cut his teeth as a Marine in Operation Desert Storm. He views his work back in Boston as equally important.
It's not my crib, buddy. Sustainable crypto. I'm not at my house. I'm at one of my buddy's house. This is his room. I'm taking his internet. This was on my mind. Everybody's downstairs. They're still partying. I got to get up out of here. It's almost 8:30. I got to get out of here. I got to get home, tuck my kids in. Honestly, they're probably already in bed. But I just had this on my mind, so I figured I'd jump up on here Labor Day. You know, and this is not my crib. This is not my house, my room. This is my buddy CJ's room. So I have no idea what's even back of me, to tell you the truth. I came up here because the internet's better up here. So yeah, that's what's going on with that, buddy. You know how we do it. You know how we do it, right?
The Funky Bunch has a group chat. None of you guys once said, I can't believe how John died. I can't believe he died in the cold. That's tragic. None of you guys were texting that on the group chat. Or I can't believe Karen would do such a thing. None of you guys are saying that. The only thing you guys are talking about is the cover up. Don't say he came in the house.
It's wild, man. It really is. It really is wild. What do we feel? If you had one word to describe Brian A., one word, I just need one word to describe Big Bad Brian A., Boston's Finest. One word to describe Brian A. One word, people. One word. One word. I need one word. I need one word. This is your chat. One word. One word, people. Got 400 people up in here. Just need one word.
Kick the doors out.
Yes. Yes, one word. That's how we do it. Woman beater. Well, that's two, Samantha. But yeah, Monster Works. Well, yeah, there we go. There we have it. And let me just get into this real quick, into the second reason why I would bring her back on the stand, because of this testimony right here. This is what I would do. And yeah, I would 100% bring her back on. Bring her back because of this testimony right here, people. Definitely. Because this makes no sense.
I woken up to my phone ringing.
And do you know what time it was?
4:53.
And
Of course it
according
was.
to your phone, who was calling you at 4:53?
John's niece.
And so that would be John's niece, Kaylee. Is that correct?
Correct.
And how old was she at this time?
I believe she was 14.
And she had just gotten into Bishop Thean, correct?
Correct.
She was in 8th grade going in, finishing up her 8th grade year of middle school, correct?
Yes.
Is that a normal thing, that Kaylee would be calling you at 4:53 in the morning on a Saturday?
No.
So you answer the call, is that correct?
Yes.
When you answer the call, who, if anyone, is initially on the other
Initially, it's Kaylee.
And what, if anything, did Kaylee say to you?
That John didn't come home and Karen and we wanted to talk to me.
And even in that initial call, when you're speaking to Kaylee, what, if anything, do you hear sort of in the background when you're talking?
Karen screaming.
And could you hear what she was screaming?
She was just screaming, Jen, Jen, Jen.
Fairly loudly, is that correct?
Extremely.
Now, at some point, does the defendant get on the phone with you?
She does.
And what, if any, conversation do you have with her at that?
She proceeds to scream my name multiple times. And she tells me that John didn't come home. They got into a fight and that she left him at the waterfall.
And how do you respond?
I had just woken up. I was confused. I didn't know what she was talking about. I was like, what are you talking about? And then she, told me that they had gotten into a fight and she left him there. And now where is he? And she was just kept screaming my name over and over. And so then I remembered that Chris Albert had still been at the bar. So I thought, well, maybe John walked home with Chris because Chris lives close to the waterfall.
And so at some point that conversation ended and you recall how that ended?
I told her that I was going to call Julie and see if John had ended up with Chris.
And so you hang up with.
So there you have it. So what is going on? That's the biggest problem right there that we have. So you just made all these texts, right? Because that was the Friday session, right? So she did all this thing. She called him, right? She called him. She talked to him from 12:14 all the way until she texted him. She talked to him at 12:14, obviously, but she was hitting John up from 12:14 to 12:50, and she's saying, Lally on the direct, that let me hang up with you. Let me hang up with you to see if John walked home with Chris because he was the last one at the bar. But for a fact, you was talking to him, getting directions. You knew he was coming over there. You know he was there. So why are you thinking he walked home with Chris? That's reason number 2 to bring it back on the stand. Why did you say on the direct, let me hang up and call Julie and see if he walked home with Chris? Now, I know everybody's going to say she's in on it. She's the killer. She's a murderer. We hate Jen. I can't stand her. I get it. How long to die in the cold? I get it. I do. I get it, people. I don't like her either. I don't. But this right here makes the jury say, wait a minute. Why would she do that? You did this how many times? You were calling him up. You were so worried about him. You know for a fact when she called you at 4:55, he was not at the waterfall. So why would you hang up and call Julie? Why would you hang up and call Julie? And then you called Karen back. So you hung up with her and kept her in limbo after you pumped in her head that, hey, oh my God, he didn't come in the house. Oh, Jesus, let me hang up with you and call Julie. And now she's all crazy. Jen, she's out of her mind. Then you told Julie to stand down and got back with all your little friends in the group chat or whatever you did. And then you realize she didn't remember anything. And now that's when Karen comes into your window of opportunity. I would have stuck on that. I would have brought her back for that because she's lying. Period. It's crazy. It's crazy.
On that time?
Yes. He, had kind of shot up out of bed when Karen had called. When Kaylee had called because Karen was screaming. And then he was, what's going on? And I said, well, I'm calling Julie because Karen, they got into a fight and I was trying to explain it to him. And he said, what are you talking about? We saw them outside of your sister's house. And at that point, I hung up.
And when you hung up,
At that point, I hung up. What are you talking about? She threw it on. She threw it on Matty M on the backup. He said, "What are you talking about, girl? What you mean, baby? We seen her out the window. We seen the truck. You know that. She didn't need to hear that from Matty M while he was wearing lingerie. What was you wearing, Matty? Was you eating donuts? What type of donuts do you like? Was you singing Good Vibrations, Matty M, on the backup? You just wanted a fucking turkey sandwich, right, Matty? You just want to fly. I know, Matty. You're on the backup. Because Big Bad Brian A, please don't go, Nicole. Yeah. I know what it was. You was hanging tough. I get it. Jen McCabe did not need to hear anything from Maddie M on the backup. She already knew. 12:14 to 12:50. She was calling John O'Keefe. She knew he wasn't at the waterfall. If she did that, if she knew he was at the waterfall, right? This is why you bring it back on the stand. If you thought he was at the waterfall at 4:55 a.m., why'd you call him back that many times if you thought he might have been at the waterfall? Why didn't you call Julie at 12:50 to see if he was back at the waterfall then? Why'd you do it at 4:55? Convenient. Alan, you should have brought it back. I know you got a cousin named James Jackson. He comes up here all the time. Your cousin James Jackson. You guys seen him up here. Good old James. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Oh, man. It's getting crazy, man. It's getting crazy. How we feeling out there, people?
Julie had not answered yet. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, as far as Miss Reed is that someone who had your phone number? Did you have her plugged into your phone as a contact before that date of January 29th?
No.
You never had any kind of conversation with her over the phone as far as a text or a phone call or anything. You didn't even have her information.
Correct.
I disagree. I disagree with you, Sherry. D. Karen Reed never said she didn't remember going to Fairview. I disagree. I think she did. She didn't remember. That's how the setup happened. You see what happened right here. Okay? She calls up. I don't remember anything. The last thing I remember is the waterfall. That's when this girl agreed with her. She agreed with her right then and there. She agreed with her. She said, "Really? You don't remember? Oh, man, maybe you got hit by a plow. Maybe you hit him. Maybe something happened. Let me call you back and see if he walked home with Chris." She agreed with her. But before she hung up, she pumped that in her head. The biggest mistake Karen had was picking up that second phone call to get in the car with her and Kerry to go find John. I disagree. It was all part of the plan. And now I know you're going to say on Nightline, she said she's seen him go in the door. Because at that point, the lawyers are probably telling her to just stick with it. Just say that you did see him. We got to go with third party. Sometimes you do got to embellish. Sometimes you got to do a white lie when you're fighting for your life. That doesn't mean she killed him. Facts. Look at this lady. Crazy.
And so after hanging up while calling Julie, what, if anything, did you do then?
And then I'm not sure if I called Kaylee back or if Kaylee called me back.
But at some point, you get back in touch with Kaylee, or at least her phone, correct?
Yes, I get Karen. I get in touch with Karen again, and I say, "Karen, we saw you outside of my sister's."
That's right.
And what was her response to that?
She told me that she didn't remember going there, and then she started yelling, "Jen, Jen."
Sherry D, we know she wasn't hit by a car. We know this. We know this, the science and all that. But obviously the jury don't care about the science. The jury sees all these witnesses. They want to talk to the people who was there that night. Most people, if you're a juror, just want to talk to the witnesses who was there that night. She's an eyewitness. Okay? Let's make her trash. That's the bottom line. And she proves it time and time again. They should have called her back. She's the one that pumped Karen's head up. Believe me when I tell you. And just like my girl said, Samantha, where's she at? Let me throw her up here real quick. Sherry D, I got your back, girl. I remember her saying she remembered why he went to Fairview to see if they was welcomed. Okay, yeah, she said that on Nightline. She said that after the fact, okay, because the truth was already out. What is she going to say? That she didn't remember, but then she remembered? Is she saying she didn't remember? Then it's like at that point, she's just saying that. Just say, hey, listen, check Fairview, check these people out. Sometimes you just got to stick to the script. It's like at that point, it's like, yeah, say you did remember, say your memory came back. And maybe you did. Maybe a couple of days later, you do remember. But at that particular time, she didn't remember. Because if she did, right? If she did remember going to Fairview, why'd she hang up the call? Why did she hang up to call Julie up to see if he walked home with Chris? Right? But that's my opinion. You guys are entitled to yours. Absolutely. Look at this crazy lady.
And then she was saying, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? And then she proceeded to say that she had a cracked taillight.
And this is while you're still in your home and you're in your bedroom, correct?
Correct.
And what was your response to that?
I thought she was honestly like just talking crazy. And then she said, oh my God, I left him there. Like she was extremely irrational. She said that it told me again that they had gotten into a fight. So now she was just kind of all over the place, just screaming. She was very hard to understand. So my brain started going, okay, well, if she left him there, where could he be? Who could he be with?
As you're going through that sort of process, what did you do next?
What's this?
So then earlier in the night, there was another individual who we had been in contact with, or my husband had been talking to, and he was going to, he had mentioned that he was going to meet up with John at Waterfall as well, but he never ended up coming. I knew he was at a house close to Fairview. So I thought, well, maybe if they got into a fight, like John might have texted.
So maybe if they got into a fight, he would get out the car and hear everybody hanging out at this party and walk by 34 Fairview and walk down the street to Tom Beatty's house. Why wouldn't he come in the house if he just got off the phone with you and you said to come there? Why wouldn't he come hang out with you? Ain't you guys his friends? It's freezing outside. Why would he walk down the street? Why does Karen have to go inside 34 Fairview if he doesn't? Who cares if Karen punched him in the face, pistol whipped him? Why didn't he come into 34 Fairview? See, like I said, there's some truth to what she's saying. You know what I mean? It's all slip ups. This is all slip ups. She's on trial. You have to make this girl look very uncredible. Okay. And you have to bring her back to do that. And I think Alan Jackson should have brought her back. That's just my opinion. And next time he's going to have to do it.
Texted this individual and maybe he just ended up on his couch.
Who was that individual?
Tom Beatty.
And who is Tom Beatty in relation to, how did you know him?
He has two daughters that are the same age as my daughters.
One of those daughters, at least around the same age as Kaylee?
Yes.
And so based on sort of that process, thought process and what you're doing, what did you do then?
So then I start calling Tom.
And
why?
At any point in time,
why call Tom?
Did Tom pick up the phone? Did you speak with him?
He did not.
Why call Tom? Why call Tom? He called you. You talked to John O'Keefe when he was on his way there. You gave him directions. He told you he was there. You seen the truck. Why do you got to call Tom? Because you're trying to get her back to 34 Fairview, which makes me believe that Karen didn't remember. Because if Karen remembered, she would have been adamant to go back to 34 Fairview. Maybe Karen initially didn't want to go back to 34 Fairview. But when she threw Tom Beatty in the mix, maybe he's at Tom's house, guess what they got to drive by? They got to drive by 34 Fairview to get to Tom Beatty's. She wanted Karen to discover the body. Period. Think about it, people.
And so following that, what did you do?
So I know at some point I was starting to call John. My husband was as well. At that point I get up and I'm like, okay, well, we got to go out and look for him. And in my head, I was thinking I'll drive over to Tom's and maybe he's there.
Why?
I then go downstairs. Matt gets up. He's starting to get dressed. I go downstairs. I make a
Listen, why are you going to Tom's house? You know he's not at Tom's house. Why wouldn't you call? The first person she would have called was Big Bad Brian A. She would have said, listen, This woman doesn't remember nothing. I remember seeing, I seen him pull up in front of the house. Did he come in the house? She's saying she's frantic. She's crazy. First person she would have called was Big Bad Brian A. You know why? Because Big Bad Brian A's a cop. But you notice she didn't call Big Bad Brian A and she didn't mention that? No, she didn't do that. And with that being said, that's the reason why they should have called it back on the stand. These are my thoughts. A quick hour in with you guys. It's 8:54, 1 hour. All my replay crew, I appreciate you. And with that being said, you know what I mean? One word to describe Karen Reed. I need one word. I need one word to describe Karen Reed before we go. One word. What is it? This is your chat, people.
If you don't get
This
in
is your chat. I need one word to describe. One word to describe Karen Reed. Your chat, people. This is your chat. Nice. Yes. 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 Yes.
Kick the doors out.
You know what my word is? My word is that she's a warrior. She's a warrior. One word to describe Karen Reed. She's a warrior. Do you understand what a court case will do to your mental? How they bring you down, how you feel like something's tied to your legs. You can't breathe. It's like you're drowning. She's a warrior, people. A warrior.
Kick the cockpit door down. I am not the chosen one that you speak of. I am not. The only one.
Fuckery Donuts is now open. If you like that logo, people, go grab yourself a t-shirt right now. It's right there in the shops. All my replay crew that's going to watch this after, grab yourself a t-shirt, grab yourself a hoodie, a coffee mug. Christmas is coming. This guy right here that I got pinned up, James Jackson, why don't you guys go sub up to him real quick? Good kid, local kid. And with that being said, I love each and every one of y'all. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the support system. I appreciate it. I'm going to be back tomorrow night, maybe, hopefully, and we're going to keep getting to it and keep trying to unravel this case. And more so, this is your chat, and this is all about you. And with that being said, let's vibe out, because this whole case been snake bitten and, poison in my mind, losing sight with this blind vision.
I feel like I've been snake bitten. Life keeps going by, please tell me why am I living? Poison in my mind, losing sight now with this blind vision. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I've been snake bitten.
Call 911, officer down, don't make a sound, there's an officer in the house. All I can feel is my phone vibrate. Wish you was here, not sitting at my place. Who let the dogs out? Someone closed the gate. It's cold where the broken face, please Lord, not today. Laying on this grass, I can hear the snakes. Wish you would've told me he was feeling away when he sent you that text. Seen the fear in your face, then he texted me too. Coming here, then you drove away.
I don't know what it is, but I feel like I've been snake bitten. Life keeps going by, please tell me why am I living? Poison in my mind, losing sight now with this blind vision. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I've been snake bitten.